This webinar is going to be conducted for the next 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and we'll be talking about the strategy that can help you retire within 10 years. Now, why I say 10 years? Because recently some new developments have been put on the table by the powers to be that can help you achieve financial success within 10 years by looking at how to invest in property. So first of all, I'll talk about beliefs, because the most important thing about human beings is they can be whoever they want to be, depending on if you believe that or not. Because whatever you believe you can do, you can. If you believe you can't do it, you won't be able to do it. So what are beliefs? Beliefs is pretty much information that we've received from the time that we were little and remember until we kind of have our own will to do things. And that information came from sources. So first of all, if we look at the information which comes from environment, which is our family, friends, relatives, people that are around us all the time, gives us information by doing things. And because we keep receiving the information, eventually that becomes part of our way of thinking. Because information that is repetitive by environment or by allowing information to come into our mind on a repetitive basis, it becomes what is called our mind, which means now it becomes the way we think. So if we believe certain things can happen, it's because we've seen it or we've heard it many times, and all of a sudden we believe that that's how things work. In order to change the beliefs, which is also got limitations, there are beliefs of limitation, there are beliefs of non-limitation. In order to change those beliefs, we need to change the information. Now remember that information comes from environment and people that tell us things or information that we receive, what we look at, what we hear, right, and what we see. If we want to change that information, we need to change the source. Once the source is changed, obviously new information, now our beliefs now will change. Now, talking about retirement and talking about investing in property, talking about taxes and mortgages, this seems to be a very, very hot topic at the moment. It creates some kind of uncertainty in our minds, but that's only when we look at the negative side. Now, there is a positive side, believe it or not, in having high interest. And I'm going to show you and demonstrate to you the positive side of having high interest, which is quite interesting, but it's really how it works. So let's say, first of all, and talk about beliefs and limits. So if you're looking at something that you want that you don't have, is because you've behaved in a certain way for a certain number of years, so that gives you the result you have. Now, in order to believe that you can do and have something more, you also need to do different things that you did before. Otherwise, if you keep doing the same things, you will have no doubt the same result. So what we do here is try to help, first of all, people understand that everyone is limitless. No one's got any limits apart from the limits that we put on ourselves, for ourselves, or limits that we allow other people to put on us. So first of all is be grateful to know that you've got a great mind, okay, that you can have anything you want. You can be anything you want to be only when you believe that is so. Okay, so you can be whoever you want to be. You can have as much money as you want. You can go and have anything you want, providing you believe is possible. Even if when you calculate it with the current information you have in your mind, you can't work it out. You need to know this is the process of understanding how limitless we are. We've got no limits, only what we impose on ourselves. So how to find the new source that gives us the new beliefs so that we can have more things? So this is just, first of all, is by reflecting first and learning from ourselves, because the best teacher for us is ourselves. If we don't learn from what we do, mistakes and good things we do, then what hope there is there for us. Second thing is by learning by other people's experience, and that's what we have what is called books. We've got information, and now pretty much everything is open for everybody in the internet. Now I tell people that now ignorance is just by choice, because if you want to find something that you want to have or want to learn, it's all now at the click of a button. You click some buttons right on the computer, and the information is there. And you just need to know as well that you don't follow any information okay, the information you need to follow is the information that you've analyzed yourself based on all the data, all the information. So you analyze it and then you make your decision. So we're not looking for people to follow us. We want people to look at all the opportunities, right? So you can see what possibility is out there. So first of all, finding a new source, you need to first of all be committed that you want to have a different outcome. Then you need to know exactly what that outcome is in terms of whatever monetary value, or if it's an item like a house or a car, and you need to write it down somewhere so that it keeps reminding you of what you want. Because if we try and keep these objectives and goals in our mind, and because we're normally distracted by a million things going on in our lives, okay, the desire that you want, the object that you want to achieve, is going to be in there like a ball in a pinball machine. Sometimes will appear, sometimes will disappear. But if it's present in front of us all the time, by the way of us either taking a picture of what we want, if it's a car, if it's a house, if it's money, right, and it's present in front of you all the time, you'll build a very strong relationship with that item that you'll always remember, okay, am I getting closer to my objective, or I'm getting furthest to my objective by the actions I am taking right now. So every moment is an opportunity for you to advance towards and closer to your objective. Instead, if you don't, you'll be furthering yourself away from your objective. All right. Then the next one is to open your mind in terms of possibilities that are out there, because most of us believe that if we don't see it, if we don't know it is there, that it doesn't exist. And this is the wrong belief, because everything exists. It's just that we haven't paid much attention because we're looking at other things. Because in life, you get what you deserve, and also you get what you accept, right? So you might want something, but if you're not prepared to put the effort, to do the labor, to take that benefit, nothing will come to you. So it's all to do with the cause and effect law, right? That's the universal law that if you do something, something will happen. So if you're doing your regular thinking about what you want, you will start to create a neurological path towards the outcome. So you basically will start to collapse time. So instead of thinking, okay, I want this, and it doesn't have any time, right? By thinking about it, the time will start to come closer, because you'll start to see different things and opportunities that are guiding you and clearing the way of you to think how you're going to achieve this outcome. So let's talk a bit about this powerful thing we have in our minds, which is called thinking. This is what we do in our minds. So thinking is pretty much what most of us do thousands and thousands of times a day. But what is it we think about is very important to know as well. Because if we're thinking about things that are getting us closer to our objective, we're thinking constructively. If you're thinking in things that are immaterial, right, that will have no value, then the thinking, it kind of goes in a different direction. So your mind will start to take you in a different way. So remember that we become what we think about most of the time. So when we have a goal, right, or an objective, that is that we would like to be someone, one day we would like to have an X number of dollars in the bank account, or an X number of properties, or a certain car, or a house. We need to think about these things. We need to think, okay, that's what I want. So the next thought is about how to get what I want, how to get it. So whenever you have a goal, you have to put in there, after you say, that's what I want, and that's the time I want to have it in, you need to think about, how do I get this? And just by asking yourself repetitively, how can I get this, you'll start to think more about what are the ideas, what are the possibilities. You'll start to think, what book should I read? What video I should watch? Who should I talk to? Okay, so it's very important to be very, very conscious about this part, because goals and objectives and dreams, right, are things that are material things. Thoughts are material things. They just haven't manifested to you. So thinking is the most important thing, and obviously thinking about your objective is the number one thing. So what does our dream life look like? What does your dream life look like? Right? Does it look like that in 10, 20 years you'd like to be, sailing away in a fantastic yacht around some Riviera in Europe, or somewhere in Queensland? Or would it be that you want to live in some chateau in some beautiful country, right? Whatever it is, you need to think about these things. So these dreams that we'll have thoughts that have been created by us and only achievable by us, because every dream comes together with the purpose of it and also the ability to do it. So dreams are individual. Every person, because it's a unique person, has got different dreams, and the dreams also come together with the how. It's just that we don't know how yet because we haven't analyzed ourselves that how can we achieve these dreams. Until you start to think about it, you'll start to clear the way to see how your dreams can come true. So dreams and inspiration are two very important aspects of the human being, that we can do things only when you have enough reasons to achieve that outcome, because an outcome without reasons, it won't inspire you to begin the process and the journey in achieving the outcome. So I normally tell my clients, if you want to have something, you need to first of all decide what you want, write it down, and once you've decided and have written it down, ask yourself 20 reasons why you want to achieve that outcome. Because if you don't have enough reasons, then it's not going to inspire you to get off the couch to start the journey. But with enough reasons, okay, that will spark the fuel, that will ignite the fire in me to be able to begin the journey to achieve my outcome. Right? So, like I said earlier, if you believe that if you don't know something, that something doesn't exist, well, that's totally not true. Because once you see what I'm about to show you, right, that you can retire in 10 years, that you can pay off the mortgage in your house in 3 years or potentially less, right? You can have an income of $150,000 a year, right, forever from your investments, and you can as well save taxes between 30 and 50% of the taxes you pay. That gives you a pretty good idea that things, can happen. Now, I've been doing this work now for 27 years, right? And I've shown enough people, and I've got enough people on video that can say what they've done, what's happened to them when they got involved in the journey with their company to achieve their outcomes. And pretty much I give all credit to them, because you need courage to do something different. Most people, when they go and buy a home to live in with a partner, to consummate their love for each other and have a nest for their family, they don't think of the consequences of what would happen if they lost a job. They don't think, because they totally focus on the outcome. And whatever problems or difficulties that come along the way, by analyzing life as life happens, sometimes these things do happen to everyone, they don't think about it, which is the right way to think. Right? Because all you want is you want to achieve the outcome, which is buy your home. And then after that, everything can take care of itself. Now, obviously, okay, when you look at what happens to when you buy a house and borrow money, well, that's a different story, which I'll talk in a moment, because that kind of leaves you without any money in your pockets. All right? So what do you think that you have to believe to make your dream come true? And what do you think that you have to do to make your dream come true? These are two very, very important things. You need to analyze yourself. What to believe and what to do. Okay, number one, beliefs. It means you have to believe that you can achieve the outcome you want. Once you believe that you can achieve what you want to achieve, then you have to get to do the labor work. Because without doing, the outcome will never come to light. So let's talk about how this whole thing about creating wealth happens. So wealth is basically an idea which relates to having lots of money. Now, on the left side of the screen, you'll see what real money looks like. And if you know, the real money comes from the beginning, when we started to harvest things and exchange our chickens for our tomatoes and cows for our other veggies, right? So because it's too hard to carry these things around. So, some smart person said, why don't we turn these things to value so we can exchange the items using money? So this is called the hard money. Hard money, real money, okay, was produced in what is called coins. The coins, silver coins, gold coins, bronze coins, nickel coins, so those kind of precious metals. And then later on, some other smart guy said, well, look, because these coins are quite heavy to carry, obviously they are quite heavy, right? Let's turn these gold, for easier to carry them, into cash or money, which is pretty much right now fake money. But at the time, it wasn't fake money. It was kind of the currency that was used. It was just converted from $1 coin to $1 note. And obviously, as the time went past, The real money, which is the currency, hard currency, precious metal, that went up in value, where the cash or the paper money remained the same. So that there is the beginning of how things have ended up, because the next thing that happened, right, was that some other smart guy, this fellow here, decided back in 1971 they're going to divorce the real money to the currency, okay, which is called the coupling of the currency, where it means that before we used to print $1 in paper for the value of $1 coin, which is went up in value. But then this guy said, well, let's forget about putting hard cash or coins to print money. Let's just go and print money. Okay, so that was the beginning of our demise, financial disaster, which we're into right now, which is now everyone's printing money, which now we're using what is called fiat money, or basically is fake money, okay, and it's backed purely by the government that's printed that money. So this is not money. So whatever we're giving now to use basically is debt, because central bankers put money in their computer, okay, they corrupt the government, so now you're going to use this for money, right? And it just put money in the computer, but there's no real cash there, right? So this is what we use at the moment, excuse me, to transact, with things that we buy and with the things that we need to create wealth and everything else, right? So this is called the fiat money, which is just a government-issued currency backed by that government, right? But it's not real money, okay? So now, how do we turn this fake money into a possibility? By just thinking that, okay, if we are using debt, because that's what they tell us, they put this money in the bank, right? They give the money to the Australian government, and us borrow this money. So now we put in $1 trillion in your bank, you lend it to the population, right? And you owe us $1 trillion. And this money they gave us, there was non-existent. They just put the currency by computer entry. Imagine that, right? So if you were basically a person that just printed money and you use that money, you get put in jail. So these guys do it by themselves. They don't put in jail because they just need to corrupt government, right? They need to tell them stories, right? And then we say, okay, that's fine. We're gonna get everyone to use this fake money. So the possibility exists in that you, by understanding how this financial system works, to take advantage of it to create something worthwhile for you. So an idea can change your life. So just thinking about this idea and thinking about your outcome, thinking about your goal and your dream, and thinking about it all the time, all new things are always coming out, because there's one constant in the universe, and that is change. Everything changes, laws change, everything changes. So you need to be on the alert for what is changing, okay? So as far as objectives, the most common objectives that people want to know, obviously, this particular time in life, okay, after it's 2 years of, all confusion given to us, people think about, well, how do we get rid of this mortgage? Because it's going nowhere, interests are going up, repayments are going up. And I like to know this. I like to know how I can get rid of a mortgage as soon as possible, okay? Or obviously, another one is how I can retire from working within 10 years with a substantial income that'll carry me through retirement. And the other one is how to reduce taxes. How can I reduce my tax? Because as income's going up, as laws changes, we pay more taxes. So we're a very, very heavily taxed country, right? Everything is taxed with multiple taxes, with different names, but it's just the same thing, all taxes, right? So this is something a lot of people are thinking about. So how can we take advantage of the opportunity that we have in our hands by understanding more who we are, our possibilities, our potential, our limitless power that we've got, without thinking too much about all the negative sides of things, which is called the difficulty. Now, life is full of opportunities, and mixing the opportunity is always difficulty. But if we focus on opportunity, not on the difficulty, we're going to get lots of opportunities. But if we focus on the negative things, the difficulties, we're going to get more of that the same. Right? So it's always mixed up. So we're here now to show you opportunities amongst the difficulty, which is interest rates, inflation, and all this uncertainty about, these people try to take over the world, these, self-proclaimed dominators, right? That are, planning things for us, which are not good for us, but they're going to tell us it's good because they control media. So let's talk about now, how did we all get here financially? So if we look at the Australian Bureau of Statistics, okay, and study the people that are 25 and follow them till the age of retirement, we say that one person out of 100, and this is pretty much in every country, will become wealthy, will become rich. 4 will become financially independent. 3 continue working, and the balance will be struggling. Will be living in some kind of government assistance or family assistance to take them through retirement. Okay, so why did this happen? How does this happen? So as we join the schools, when our parents put us to school, they tell us to go to school, right? Remain in school, hopefully try and go to university, learn a skill to get a job, right? And then some of us get married. Now, if you've analyzed how much money did our parents pay the system to educate us to get a skill, it's in the hundreds of thousands. In this country, I think it's around about $400,000-$500,000. Okay, from the time we take the kids to the first school, primary school, to the time they get to uni, is quite a big chunk of money. Right now, when the people end up getting the skill, they go and get a job, and after that, they're happy. Right. During the school, they teach us to learn things. We have to think a little bit, try and memorize things, because that's a conditioning, right? Because when you repeat things many times, it becomes your conscious mind, becomes your mind. Because, subliminally, if you hear information all the time in your subconscious mind, which is the dominator, your conscious mind is the orchestrator, right? So this one dominates, this one orchestrates, right? To make sure that you are seeing things that you've been told many, many times that is true to believe in that. So we've been conditioned to believe that we are just people that can earn whatever, $25, $35, $40, $50 an hour, $100 an hour. If you're a dentist, maybe $500 an hour, right? A doctor, $800 an hour, a special kind of doctor. But that's it. And that's the life of a human being, right? Now, you're accepting these things here because when you look around, everybody's doing this. So you think, oh, well, that's all we are. That's all we can get because, that's what I like to do. That's my profession. But you can easily earn, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 an hour. There are many, many ways to do this. But because we've been conditioned to believe that's what we should get, okay, and we calculate what can we buy with this, and we accept it. Right? So we accept it. So most people get in life what they accept. Not what they want, but what they accept. Right? So once we get married, all right, we end up doing what most of us do, buy a house to live in, and then we end up getting a loan from the bank, and this loan is going to be an interest and principal loan for 30 years, and then that's when we become stuck. Stuck because this mortgage doesn't go away. As interest go up, we try and scramble around to find a bank with a better rate, so that bank changes, right? So you get a new 30-year loan. As rates go down, everyone's looking for the best deal again. So a friendly broker or a friendly bank manager says, come over here, I've got a good deal for you. We'll give you honeymoon rate. We'll give you some money back to change with us. So they take you over, 30 years starts again. So the 30-year loan is just a trick, right? As you know, everything is tricky from banks from the beginning of the money they give us because it's a trick money. It's all tricky stuff, right? So they continue the trick by changing things, moving around, loans a bit of rate, some rebates, right? And then your loan doesn't seem to go anywhere. Okay, but there is ways to do it. Now, all you need to remember is that if you want to get rid of the debt quickly, you have to think, how can I get rid of my debt? So you start to formulate your own idea, right? Or you can ask your, good intention free advisors how to do it and see what they're doing. But you're going to end up pretty much doing what they do because that's what we normally do. We like to follow because it's easy. It's easy to follow other people rather than to think, because thinking is the hardest work in any industry. Like I said earlier, thinking is the hardest work. That's what most people don't think. Out of 100 people, one thinks that they think, the other people won't think even if to save their lives. They just prefer to follow because it's easier, it's more convenient, right? So we end up in this prison without a door, okay? And the thing is, how can we get out of this prison when we look around and everyone is in the prison? Remember, it doesn't have a door, but they're all there, and they're saying, well, but you also see all the people outside the prison having a great time, driving wonderful cars, living in beautiful houses, taking great holidays. And you think, how come those guys are there and we're here? But we seem to be comfortable here. And that's what happens to the people that believe in the conditioning of the system, that this is the only way that there is. There's no other way, because everyone has got the same thing. But when you analyze where they're going, right, they're not going anywhere very far. But if you analyze where those people are outside the prison, these people are jumping from leaps and bounds into great things to do, great ideas, great choices, great results. Okay, and that is because these people are thinking how to get out of this financial prison. Okay, so when you look at what takes most of our money, it's pretty much logical: taxes and banks. Right. So this is the reason why. It's because as we all have these mortgages. Okay, the bank also, they're not shy to flaunt that they make profits. Like these 4 banks, 2021, declared over $20 billion profits out of a small population like we are in Australia, around 23, 25 million people, with maybe only 9 or 10 million workers, maybe if that. And that's because we're all stuck in these 30-year mortgages. It's a great way to make a profit. We borrow money that they don't even have. We give them interest on the money that they don't even have, and then we need to repay this money they never had before. So it's kind of a very, very, insane way to doing things, but that's because everyone does, and most people think it's the only way to do it. So when we analyze where our money goes on a weekly basis, we see that most of our money, the first day, Monday, is tax office. That's our silent partner, and halfway through Tuesday as well, right? And then halfway through Tuesday to most of the day on Wednesday is for the bank. Okay, so pretty much the balance of Wednesday, if there's any left in there from the bank and the tax, right, we spend in sustaining ourselves to buy the things that we need to live. Right, so the whole day Thursday, maybe halfway, quarter's day on Friday, we use the money to sustain ourselves to do the things we want to do. A bit of money goes in super from government, from the employer, and then we get a bit of savings at the end. Okay, so there's not much money left after we spend it all in taxes, banks, and the things we want to do with our lives, right, to save. Okay, so if we look at interest rates for the past, say, 60 years plus, right, we see that rates, kind of fluctuate quite a bit, right? But the average interest rate, from banks, it's around about the life of a mortgage around 7%, 30 years. It goes up, goes down. Right? Just a bit. This is how they take our money, right? Now, I want to present to you now an idea, okay, that can work for everybody, okay, on how you can pay a mortgage. And here I've made an example here of a $600,000 mortgage, right? In a couple that earns $15,000 a month net after tax, and plus minus you can calculate on your own, at a rate of 6%, okay, and that would probably attract a $3,000 a month repayment, right? So it's a 30-year loan. So in 30 years, you're going to pay the bank $1.295, call it $1.3 million in repayments for a $600,000 loan. So that means you have to give the bank about $695,000 in interest for a $600,000 loan. But in order to give the bank the $1.29 million in repayments, because you have to pay taxes first, you have to earn around $1.7 million. So a loan of $600,000 for 30 years requires you to earn about $1.7 million to get rid of that debt. Pretty much 3 times the money you borrow, right? So very important. It's one house, right, for 30 years. And the 30 years, like I said, doesn't go away because for 30 years, one bank, they change, goes to another bank, another 30 years, and so on. Now, when you analyze what happens to this money, okay, this cash flow here comes from a bank, one of the largest banks, if not the largest bank, right? It says that if you borrow $600,000 for 30 years, at 6%, you'll pay the bank $3,500, right, a month. And for 30 years, you're given them $1.295 million, okay, of which $695,000 is interest. Now, the interest part is if you multiply $3,598 by 12 months, right, and then multiply it by 5 years, right, that number is around about $200,000+ that you give the bank, right, or $250,000, right? But after 5 years, you still owe them more than $557,000. So basically, most of the money is gone in interest. Remember, this is called the principal and interest loan, where it should be interest and a bit of principal long, because that's what it is. Now, if you go to 10 years, you're giving him probably $500,000 by then. You still owe him $500,000. So that's really, wow, this thing doesn't go away. But most people are all stuck in it forever because they don't change. Because when they look around to see what everyone else is doing, they're all doing the same thing. So the bank's quite, candid about it, and they tell you how much money they're going to take from you. Right? So now, using this strategy, and the strategy I'm going to show you here is just by buying one investment property, okay, how long it takes to get rid of the debt. And now keep your eye on the first line here, which says offset account, because that's what we're going to be using, that product, right, on an interest-only basis for your house. So using an investment property with just 5% return, right, that's a yield 5%, using the standard kind of depreciation of about $13,000 for a new property per annum for the first 5 to 10 years, okay, and with a living expenses of $3,000 per month for the family for all the living, that they need to do. So this here shows that your mortgage can be paid and go to zero within 5 years. At the end of the 5th year, beginning of the 6th year, you will have $700,000+, which wipe out the debt. Now, there is some new things that have just happened, okay? Some other products that have come out in the market, incentivized by the government. They can see a mortgage paid within 3 years, the same kind of scenario on one property, okay? So these possibilities are everywhere, okay, but only when you are committed to see how your mortgages can disappear. If you're committed to look at how to reduce your taxes, and if you're committed to work something for yourself for 10 years to retire, it's all there, right? It's all there in the public domain. Everything is there. So, you can see that your mortgage can be paid, within 5 years, 3 years if you use these new products, backed by the government, right? So you can reduce the interest you pay to the banks and the taxes by a huge amount. And now you'll see your money travel a little bit different. So you'll be able to only work for your silent partner, the tax office, Mondays. You work only for Tuesdays for the bank, and then you continue your living expenses the way you do it, but you'll have a lot of money left over in the bank for savings, right? And then investments, because the way to do it is you earn, you save, you invest, and then you spend. That is the right way to do things with your money, because you've got two main resources: your time, which is your life, and the money. So if you misuse these two resources, okay, you'll end up becoming or remaining as part of the 92% of the people. But if you maximize the potential of your time and your money, then you start to see different things. And it all happens when you start to decide what you want, write it down, and start to find the people that can help you with their ideas on how to achieve your financial objectives. So now you know that it's possible to pay off a mortgage within 5 years. Now you know it's possible to retire in 10 years with a minimum income of $100,000, because this will make it work. Now you know how it's possible to reduce your taxes, right, and have a great life, and have the dream life that you've always been thinking, right, but not paid attention enough to think about how to do it. Wanting to have a great life is great, but when you start to think, how can I have a great life? How can I do this? That's when you begin the process of laboring, because thinking is labor. Thinking uses just about most of the energy of a human being is used by thinking. So you need to do quite a bit of thinking, right? So what alternatives do you have to do this? One is, get yourself a coach and begin, because that's what you need. I mean, nobody can do things on their own. You need also some assistance. Everyone does. I do, right? 2 is keep asking the good intention free advice from your friends and relatives, the people that you've been talking to, and see how you end up. But I can assure you, you're not going to be in a great spot. Do it yourself, which is, try and do it on your own without any help. And that's going to be probably hard as well. Or do nothing, okay, about it and go back to the couch. All I can say is that now financial ignorance to you is only by choice, because now you know that it's a possibility to do all these things, right? And now you know a company that can help you do it. So what benefits do you have by taking action? The benefits are, the number one, you'll learn. And when you learn, you feel happy and you grow. This is the number one thing, because happiness is not about getting things. Happiness comes from growing, from becoming more, for learning more things, because when you learn more things, oh, now I know how to do this, you feel happy. It's not about by getting things. Getting things is just kind of a physical thing that we think we want more, which is quite okay. But in the end, if it's all about me, it's pretty boring, because once you learn how to do these, you'll have pretty much anything you want. And then you say, well, is life all about me only? So you start to think, no, I need to start to contribute. So you need to start to share all the things you learn. Sharing is great for people because everybody grows. So the benefits are you can pay off your loan very quickly. You can recover, up to 50% of the taxes you pay. You can own between 5 and 10 properties quite easily within 10 years. Right? And you create an income of $100,000 to $150,000 a year forever once you decide to begin to take action. Okay. Some of the added services and value you get from this company, okay, which is a program we'll run for 10 years, right? You get a strategy to pay the loan in your house. You get strategies to reduce taxes, get strategies to retire early with a good income. Okay, you get rental support for all the properties you purchase with us for 10 years. You get the strategies for retirement. It keeps being adjusted because we meet with our clients every 6 months, maximum 12 months, to see how they're getting, what we need to adjust to keep them on track to their destination. You get also guidance if you have money in superannuation, how you can use those savings rather than keeping them into industry funds that lobby political parties into power and they don't tell you how they spend all your money, right? You can also take control of that and say, well, I want to buy things for myself, right? Assets that I want, right? You can choose the assets that are within the guidelines of the Superannuation Commissioner, right? Instead of letting somebody else muck around with your money and then give you a statement that says you lost these, you made these, or nothing happened, right? But collecting large fees. Also, we provide tax return assistance with our accounting teams, right? Also, we provide the tax guidance for maximum performance on your tax on your money. We give you finance specialist guide for finance, right, to how to get the best loans, the best products, okay, and also strategies on how to double your income, as well as the legal service of our legal team of independent lawyers that can give you guidance when you want to transact in real estate. So you get all these services, okay, as added values, right, for all clients that want us to show them the way and help them achieve their outcomes using property. So nothing begins or nothing can begin until you give yourself permission to start. Now, this young fella here in the middle, Dr. Nikolai, when he met us, he said he went to the bank because he's of an advanced age, not as an old fella, but he's an advanced age. They said, look, I want to borrow money to buy a property. And because he was to a certain advanced age, they told him, go away, we can't lend you money, right? You're too old. And he kept thinking, well, I work, I make money, I pay lots of taxes, I want a house without a mortgage. I mean, there must be a better way. And he met us by, a good incident, okay, or accident, right, or good fortune for him that we were at one of the shopping centres in the southeastern side here in Melbourne, right? And he picked up a brochure and he kept this brochure next to his bed for weeks, and he just wouldn't remove the brochure. And one day decided, I want to call this company because, I think there's something here that I should learn. So he called the company, he came to the office, and in 2 hours, we showed him how he could buy 4 properties. And he did. 2 hours, 4 properties. Again, he said, look, I came from Russia, right? I had all this money I had to spend to become a doctor. Then I came here to study again because he likes to be a doctor. So I spent lots of money, right? And in one afternoon, he learned how to make the same money, right, by investing and not the hard work that he's doing. And, he's a very happy chappy now, wants to keep buying property. And he realized, how easy it was by just giving himself permission to start and see the possibilities out there for him, right, by just having a conversation. That's all it is. So if you want to know how this can work for you, we invite you to have a conversation with us. We're holding a seminar, a live seminar in Point Cook on the 27th of this month for high taxpayers and income earners. So if you want to look how this can help you for you in a public forum, right, join us at that time. We will send an invitation if you join this webinar, okay? And on the meantime, God bless you. I hope that everything works for you. Okay, if you like to meet with us, just make contact with us, and we'll be very happy to show you how you can achieve your personal dream life, right, using an investment property.